welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I am here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope everybody grabbed their snacks. I know I sent out a message to everyone, grab your snacks, a few minutes. So we do have some snackers in our chat. That's perfect. I put a little wine glass with the emoji that I used. How?
Yeah, I just
right.
I just felt the message.
You felt it. I was sending it. Mm-hmm. It's the humanist non-magic magic.
Those good vibrations.
It's a thing, okay?
Yeah, totes.
It is. We do have a good show for you. We're gonna start out in remembrance. We've lost actually more than just the two I'm going to be talking about this week. But we are going to talk about two beautiful humans who are no longer with us, and COVID, of course. How can you not? The economy is attached to that. Max got some info for us on that. We're going to talk about the secret police and about how Joe is a sleepy sometimes. Actually, there's a lot of videos you can find of him in Congress just totally napping through the whole thing. So, yikes. I mean, grandpas do that. They're tired. So, and I will be starting tonight with the remembrance. We're going to talk about an individual who is a hero of mine, and there's no way I would have to do a series to cover all of the parts of American history and world history in some cases that John Lewis was a part of changing. And he's a human, so he's not perfect. And there's always going to be someone who says, what about this, or what about when he voted like this? We just lost him. And I argued at those times as well that I don't agree, but overall the man was a living legend, and he's no longer with us. He helped this nation with so much. I don't think that people under 30 understand how much they should give thanks to John Lewis, for the freedoms that they have each day, basic freedoms. And he was a part of all of that. Let me start with saying it's one thing to write the Declaration of Independence. It's another to actually fight to make those words written down so long ago become a reality, to make them be true. That's who John Lewis is to me, an OG freedom fighter. And if you guys know what you do, I love history and I love the 20th century and the 19th century. It's still learning about, there's so much to learn from that fascinating centuries that brought us to where we are today. So much more, of course, obviously, before that brought us to where we are. But John Lewis was a huge part of civil rights. I mean, as a teenager, he grew up pretty rough, and he looked around and he saw, I don't think that this is fair. I really don't think that it is fair, because he was educated and he liked to read, and you could go read that our independence, the Declaration of Independence says, we hold these to be self-evident, that every man is created equal. And then he looked around and said, well, wait a minute, can we make the words that we are to follow as a nation actually be what we follow? John Lewis was a true public servant. His entire adult life, he was 21 when he started on the Freedom Writers journey, which I did a whole series of over 2 years ago now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And I would like to retouch on that series someday, maybe redo it and have more facts in it, which would be amazing. It's a journey from 1900 to 2000. And it was, no one can do that better than Howard Zinn. And so if you want someone more educated than I am to give you that journey, I would say A People's History by Howard Zinn would be the book to read, and every American should own that book and read it to their children. He actually has a child's version of it. John Lewis and Howard Zinn were friends, go figure. He even put his own life, his own safety, his own body on the line. I do want to tell you, there's a quote by Abraham Lincoln, which was also told during the funeral, the whole procession, the whole day. There were a lot of speakers, but I think that it's very important. The quote is, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." Like, I think that should read that to yourself maybe once a year. When he said this, too many of our fellow citizens still couldn't vote, let alone be treated equally. So, you know, we've had a very long journey. We're a very young country, and we cannot lose it all now. Lewis saw this rot, is what he called it, inside a country as a boy, inside this country as a boy growing up in pre-civil rights, end stage Jim Crow era. He could not just see it and know of it, know that it's happening, so much injustice, and just go about his day. He had to answer this call to action, and he says that in his own words in every conversation that he's had that's been televised throughout his, life of action. His heart felt deeply that he needed to be a part of this change. He wanted to see justice and freedom come to the Deep South. And that's a direct quote from John Lewis, to see justice and freedom come to the Deep South. And he was talking about the Delta, Mississippi, Georgia, Atlanta, the dirty. As a young adult, human dignity was the most important thing in John Lewis's life. And being a part of some sort of movement to help change hearts and minds across this nation, he knew it had to happen. And for human dignity for all Americans to happen, people had to actually put their lives on the line. In 1961, John Lewis had to be a part of the Freedom Riders, not knowing if he would survive or even return home. But like I said, he had to do this if he wanted justice and freedom and human dignity to reach the Deep South. At age 21, he applied and was part of the 13 original freedom fighters, which, if you know any of that history, they got attacked on the way down. They regrouped. He was part of the attack of the first one. They regrouped, and he said, "No, we're going back. We can't let them win. We cannot let them win." Oh, gosh. Okay. It's really, researching him, of course, made my face wet a lot. It's really sad to lose him, but I am glad that losing him at an age where I don't feel as though we lost so much with the next person I'll be talking about. Lewis was part of the lunch counter sit-ins and direct action, what he called good trouble. Lewis was also part of the first activists to face physical violence. When he marched across that bridge, Selma, with MLK, he thought he was going to die. He thought that was the last day on this planet. His head was bashed open. He had a concussion. He was left bleeding out on the road. He kept fighting. He ended up being a civil servant for us. I think that just his story alone, to me, is what America stands for. That a boy who was born to, a family that were slaves became a senator, and I just implore you to read his story. He's a massive story. Like I said, I can't get into it here, but he was a warrior, and we could all learn a lot from losing him. I think that a lot of people gain a lot of power when they die, which happens all the time. I think Karl Marx, for one, he had a lot of people talking about him when he was alive, of course, but after he passed in that book, Das Kapital traveled around the world, he became so much more. And I think that Lewis will be no different. He was a part of massive change in this country. And he also knew by history, by being interested in history that came before him, that anytime anything was changed for the better in this country, let alone everywhere else, was because the people got in the streets. And so he knew that was good trouble that he was talking about, civil disobedience. It's written into our Constitution for a reason. And I just loved that. I love his life story, and I think that's what America should stand for, that type of American dream. But I don't want to go back to what he fought to get out of, and that's a lot of what we're seeing going on. The Student Nonviolent Coordination Committee, which was known as SNCC. It was pronounced SNCC, even though it was at SNCC. Look up SNCC. It's amazing. It's students who are activists. They were part of Freedom Riders. It was he headed it. Like he was so young and said he was just a part of so much. And so I really hope that people familiarize themselves. I know I'm probably talking to, an echo chamber and here, as far as everyone who knows who John Lewis is and what he did, what he fought for, and what his legacy will stand for. However, I hope others just learn just a basic history on his life. I think that you will be very impressed. The SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which John Lewis headed, represented, and it's still standard, this is what it says if you look it up, which I think is awesome, represented a radical and new unanticipated force, which sorry, whose work continues to have great relevance today. Freedom Riders, SNCC, John Lewis, they all connect. There's like I said, you can't, well, I wouldn't say you can't, because we don't know. It hasn't happened. What has happened in this country is when we want change, we have to make it happen. Because the people who are comfortable, our senators, people who go on vacation, take breaks, our government can stop being funded and shut down. Like, that's not heard of in other countries still. All of these things are ruthless. And I think he stood for what the dream means and putting his body where his words were. What he said he stood for and fought for, he actually fought for. So that's John Lewis in a nutshell. We have many other topics, so I do want to move on to Michael Brooks now. I don't know if you guys can see. That's all I could write. I can't do it yet.
I'm sorry, Christy. I'm sorry. I didn't really watch the show very much. It's still awful. Like, I'm still super duper not happy, but I know that it hit a lot more people. Like, way more than it hit me.
Yeah. Well, the Michael Brooks show came from the Majority Report with Sam Cedar.
Yeah.
He was just, and this might not even be the facts of it. My way of seeing it was I listened to the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, and then there was this funny guy all the time, and then that funny guy would fill in for Sam Cedar or be on the panel, and I just was like, who is this guy? He's funny. He isn't afraid to call you out. Like, no, that's not exactly how that happened. Let's stick to the facts of it. I think that this guy is one of those exceptions. I think he is an exceptional and extraordinary humanist. And he will be so much bigger because of his passing, which is so sad. The quote that he is going to be most known for is, "Be ruthless with systems and kind to individuals." And I think that his loss as a whole in the political community that I'm in every day. He just
It affected.
wanted everything to be, he fought for, like John Lewis. He put his body where his mouth is. He traveled everywhere, and he didn't see America needing to be better. He saw the whole world needing to be better, and he saw this scale that I can't even wrap my mind around. And he never forgot it while working on a local problem. And I aspire to be a quarter what he did. So.
Do you know what happened? Because I
Yeah,
don't know what happened.
he had a stroke.
He just had a stroke.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He
I know
was
that doesn't always matter.
about to be 37, actually.
Wow, that's crazy.
Like about to, within days of, or weeks of, yeah. When he got the Michael Brooks show, I just knew it. I saw it coming. I just like, there's no way he's not going to do more. Just filling in on Sam's show made so many people want to come to Sam's show. Like, he just was this light of humanism and goodness and fairness, and he put empathy back in politics. His thinking and his views on like the Karens is, it doesn't matter. Like, keep your eye on the ball. Like, yeah, it's distracting. It's dumb. Keep your eye on the ball. Don't do videos about it. Don't talk about things that matter. You'll find humor in that too. There's always going to be idiots out there. You can laugh about it with your friends, but if you have a big platform, talk about things that matter. And I love that. He's better than I mean, he's what I think an extraordinary humanist would be Michael Brooks. And he's got a book. I will post the name of the book in our chat in a minute. And I'll also post some links. There is one that will make you feel better if you were invested in Michael Brooks, because it is, everybody made a small video and it's not cheesy. Professor Richard Wolff is in it. All these people saying that their goodbyes, and it's very uplifting. And a couple other ones. So, Michael Brooks, you will be missed.
Yeah, I know a lot of the other like lefty channels did at least one segment on him, at least. Mickey Constance had Anna Kasparian on a time or two to have her talk about it. I know Michael and Anna were like
yeah, they did the Jacobin show every Saturday.
Yeah, I forgot
he helped her change her mind and opinions and move even further to the left. And he did these things you never knew that you were getting, bamboozled. Like, he just would ask questions. He was so well read. There isn't a book from someone who made great opinions or claims with evidence that he hadn't read. He spent his whole childhood pretty much reading. He couldn't get enough of books. He's just we need more of him. People like him are so few.
Yeah, it's a loss. It's a big one. So
yeah.
So you said that's all you could do for now. Are you going
I could talk about my feelings for him, but like yeah, I watched. That was regular. That was regular content. I watched him become the Michael Brooks show. Go to universities and do all these lectures. You know how, of course you do, because I sent them to you. Lectures from Noam Chomsky, or so many of them, because I just love to listen to them. Well, Michael Brooks started doing these, going to universities and talking. He just did it with like he could identify with anyone. He could talk to anyone. And when they would try to get you in gotchas, he, you know, he would just go, no, that's not like even relevant. So like, is there a point? Because you want to get into something that isn't going to help elevate any of this. So if you don't have anything that's going to help elevate it, let's move on to the next person. And I love that he did that without making that person feel like a douchebag, because that's hard to do. It really is hard to tell someone, sorry, that's not relevant and you're trying to be a douche, without making them offended. I just, like I said, people like him are so few. Yes. And then now I will put all those links in chat and you can check out the next COVID. Oh gosh, COVID.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ugh.
All right. Good segue. All right. Yeah, cool. Next topic. Got my notes here. All right, the COVID economy. So if you haven't noticed, our economy kind of super sucks. We've had a number of numbers go down and up, and pretty much just the bad ways. If it makes you feel any better, though, I will premise it with this. Chevron said that their diversity ratio is going to go way up amongst all the layoffs. So that's good news, right? Win for identity politics. It's okay. Everyone knows that doesn't make me angry. All right, so let's dive into this. The unemployment rate is fucking ridiculous. I went to Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it's kind of nuts. The graph I'm looking at here just has us bouncing around a 4% unemployment rate from June of 2018 to about February of 2020, and it just stays like just under 4%, pretty much for about 2 years straight, and then it jumps from 4% to about 15% just in March. Just like February to that April, just that one whole month, which is absolutely insane. It's kind of hard to know the exact numbers because you're off here and there, but it's around the 20%, like give or take 4 percentage points, and that's devastating, right? We have how many people here? We have 30 million people who are food insecure right now. 32 million people couldn't pay their rent in July, or at least couldn't pay the full rent. And we expect that number to go up in August, especially if we don't get the stimulus out, which we're not by tomorrow, because the Senate is out of town. They're like, oh shit, we got things to do. So we have things to do. And on top of the being behind on rent, 28 million of those people are looking at eviction, which is a lot. It's a very high percentage of 32 million, 28 million being. So that's awful. I've said it a time or two, but I'll say it again. If you think the George Floyd riots were bad, like over 25 million people being evicted, that would be bad. if you don't like protests, I mean. No other reason, of course. So, yeah, we need to fix this. It's not incredibly hard, and I'll get to that. I'm sorry. Hold on. 14 million more people are unemployed than there are jobs to be filled. I'll skip that one for now. We denied Bernie's amendment to cut the military budget 10%. I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. But what they did pass is Elizabeth Warren's piece of legislation here to change the name of Confederate named army bases and increase the military budget. So hooray! Now instead of what we've increased it to, from I think I'm guessing on this, so just bear with my guess, and I don't think it's too far off. I think it was around $680 million a year when Trump came into office. And last year it had gotten up to about $720 billion. So we just added another $20 billion to the military budget, which we super duper don't need, because we don't need to be bombing countries in Africa. We don't need to be bombing anywhere in Afghanistan.
No.
Or
Gaza. This is how neoliberalism works. This is how they do it. This is how neoliberalism works.
Right.
That's how they do it. They do some identity politics and some crumbs for the people, but underneath it is more budget for what we're fighting against.
Yeah. Yeah, and this really has
punch yourself in the face.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That military budget, before the increases, we spent more than the next 11 countries combined. Mm-hmm. And we're a superpower, right?
For right
we're
now.
A superpower for a big reason of just because we're everywhere. We threaten everyone everywhere. Like, we have a big stick in every corner of the house.
Yep. And
people are afraid of that, right? China, on the other hand, he's bringing up China, they run their economy and take advantage of how we sell our labor and a lot of our property. Kind of just like fair ball game stuff, because we have rapacious oligarchs in this country who want to make money, so they sell their labor force over to China. They sell property to China, and we blame China all the time for just taking advantage of us. But we're letting them, right? Like, people in this country are letting them do that. You don't need to blame the Chinese for taking advantage of a fire sale. You need to pat them on the back and be like, hey, fucked me, but I'd have done the same thing to you that you had done to me. That's just how capitalism works. That's right. I said that's how capitalism works, because they are kind of a communist country, but they are a capitalist communist country.
Oh, big time.
Which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No.
But it is more or less what it is, because they are a capitalist country.
Definitely.
Right? You can't deny that they're a capitalist country. They call themselves communists, but they're just a little more authoritarian and more liberal than a lot of other countries, especially.
See, that's really hard for people to understand, that you can be two things, that they can have liberal or human rights leaning economic policies, and have authoritarian policing policies, and you can have both. It's crazy that people don't understand the nuance of life. One person isn't one thing. a Karen isn't her worst, the worst of that one day. That's not how life is. And North Korea calls itself democratic. So get over labels and names and do the research. China's a lot of things, and it's going to be the next superpower. There's not much we can do.
Yeah, see, like, let me say it like this, jumping back to just how things fucking line up, right? You can be for abortion, and you can be an anarchist or an authoritarianist, right? You can completely be cool, fine with abortion. And you can be all the way down here saying, I just want it to be available legally for people who need or want it, right? Or you can be all the way up here going, kind of like maybe where China is, being a little hyperbolic here. And they say, yeah, we want abortions to be legal. And not only legal, you can't have more than one kid or we're going to abort it. That's just what it is. That's no authoritarian. That's an authoritarian move. That's not a communist move. Neither is a communist move. Neither. It's the freedom versus the force, right? So anyways, let me get back to it. And you are muted if you're trying to talk to me. It looks like you're trying to talk to me. Sorry. Okay. So why am I talking about China when I'm trying to talk about the U.S. economy? Well, part of it is because we're ramping up tensions with China because of they're dealing with the Hong Kong people, which we've focused on a little bit back last fall, and we haven't touched like since. But I'm for Hong Kong being a freer nation, like apart from China. I think that'd be great. I think any nation, any autonomous state, if I can say that word, shouldn't have to be under a larger superpower. Again, because I'm not for authoritarianism. But where the U.S. has a big stick in every corner, so they're picking up their big stick in the China corner and hitting a few things off the shelf, right? Saying, you can't do this to Hong Kong. Also, you're ruining our economy. Also, Chinese virus. Gah! So that's making them not happy, which is probably just fine because they're not a superpower, right? All right, segue. Sorry, have to do this. I talked to one of my conservative buddies the other day at the store, and we talked for like 45 minutes to an hour, and we got to talk about China because everything is China's fault or the left's fault or what's this fucking name? Finish my thought because I finished his before you even got to it. Who's the mastermind behind all the left stuff?
Oh, is it George Soros?
George Soros, thank you.
Or yes, the Rothschilds before that, or it's always been somebody.
I literally asked him. I'm like, I don't think he looks at it, this way because he just wants to take over America and ruin it, right? I'm like, I don't think he sees it that way. He's like, I think he does. I'm like, do you really think that like he's just basically just like a true like Dr. Evil who really just wants to see everything go to shit? And he's like, I do. I really do. I'm like, man, what a disconnect from reality. Just how black and white. He keeps telling me to like look things up. Right. I like finish the sentence like, no. I know what you're referencing. I just think he's full of shit. I'm sorry. But I'm always nicer than that. But as far as China goes, I want more people to please talk to your conservative friends. And when they bring up China, I want you to ask them, and please report back to me because I just want to fucking know. Just sprinkle it in there. Whenever they do anything, or like whenever they're mentioning that they think they can get away with this, or they think they can do this to us, or they're taking advantage of it, or they want to rule the world, right? Because that's their main goal. China's main goal is to rule the world and ruin the U.S.
Yes.
And I can agree up to a certain point for conversation's sake and say, yeah, well, I mean, of course, like that's ours
That's
too.
ours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ours too. And also, like, they're a superpower, of course. And that, I had a feeling I wanted to ignore and not have the feeling that he was going to respond this way. Oh, well, no, like, I wouldn't say that. I'm like, say what? Well, they're not a superpower. China's not a superpower? He's like, no, they're evil, they're awful. Like, okay.
Gosh.
So if they're not a superpower, why should we worry? And he looked at me for a second, like, what are you trying to pull, Mac?
Following logic is a skill for many people, including myself. It was something I had to learn,
Say
that
what
logic, following the logic. And that's hard to do, especially when they're coming from a defensive place. They're defending America. Like, you must hate America if you're saying this. Like, no, you're not allowed to say other countries do X or Y better, and here's the data that proves it. Now you're anti-American. You're, anti-patriotic. You're a dirty commie, which is so silly. I heard this week that somebody, what did they say? Stacy and I just looked at each other like, they had said communism is when just a small group of people rule the nation and control everything, and everybody just gets what they get. And I'm like, I can't, like, if we don't know the fact, like, what words have definitions?
Right?
If we don't know what those are in a conversation together, it's not going to achieve any benefits. And I want to talk to people who think differently than me. That's the way that this is going to get done. I think that it's great. Shannon Q earlier had a conversation with Armin Navabi, and I was in the bathtub shaving, so I couldn't. I wanted to be in that chat so bad. You guys should go back and watch it if you haven't. I am a mod for both channels. For Shannon's, I'm an honorary mod. I a lot of times she has shows where I can't be there and be a dedicated moderator for her. And for Armin's, the last couple weeks have been spotty. Stacy got in an accident this past weekend, got rear-ended. She has a lawyer. It's bad.
You said Shannon got in an accident?
Stacy
did. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, neck, back. She was stopped and the car hit her going 30. That's the speed limit. She was stopped. She turned into our apartment complex at 10:30 at night.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, yeah, it's nothing.
They were hot for me.
Yeah, but I am normally regularly in Armin's chat. And I am the odd one out there, I feel, a lot of times. And I have to remember that that's important. That's important, that I'm about to write something and I feel like this might offend some people, or they might think, oh, I'll never take her seriously again. She's a goddamn commie tree hugger. But if I look at it and I reread it and I'm like, no, but I really feel like that is appropriate, I hit send anyway every time. And I think, I was asked by a fellow moderator who moderates Atheist Experience as well, said, so because I was in the chat saying, if you guys want to find out more about the way he believes, Saturday night at blah, 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 blah. And, she said, so because there's a difference, the people in one group, the whole tribe thing. And I was asked, which I implore you guys all to watch it and turn the chat on and watch. Then I wouldn't have to explain any of this to you because you would know it. But so you are in both chats. You're shilling for this one or for Atheist Republic here as well. And my answer, I had to answer. I had to hurry up and dry off my hands in the bathtub, remember, and put it takes a village. Like, yes. Armin is not the sum of one thing that you don't agree with. He's not this, like, the sum of him isn't the one bad thing you know about him. So, yes, I agree with you. Yeah. I did. I do. I growl sometimes.
You growl?
Christy growled.
So, yeah. I don't want to get. I want to back it up quite a bit. So, I had quite the conversation with that friend of mine. He mentioned Marxism and all that jazz. I'm just like, hey, yeah, Chinese aren't doing very good with that Marxist stuff. He's like, well, I wouldn't say that. I'm like, well, I mean, I would. He's like, well, they're a bunch of socialists. I'm like, and he mentioned socialists during the protests too, which we'll also be talking about. And we're like, well, no, hold on. I'm a socialist. I finally told him, I don't agree with what you're saying now. You're wrong. Take it from the source, sir. Take it from the socialists in the room. You ain't one of them. But yeah, and I even asked him, just like, so have you ever like read Karl Marx? Because like that's not what's going on in China. He's like, no, I wouldn't. Like that's really evil, bad stuff. I wouldn't want any. I wouldn't want any part of that. I'm like, right. I mean, but like, wouldn't you read it just to know what the opposition like, just to like research it? And he like stopped and thought for a second, like, like maybe that sounds like no, you need to stay away from that stuff. I'm like, okay, anyways, getting back to my main point, the economy though, is because we have this view of China. We're ramping up tensions with them. And who the fuck cares about what China's doing right now? I know a lot of people do, because they think that China let this virus loose, right? They lied to their people because of how they run their media. And they wanted to keep things under wraps until they knew information themselves. The information needs to go through the government first. I disagree with it. I think it's shitty. That's a huge mistake that they made. But they didn't like throw it at other fucking countries. They just didn't
went to every country. What country would benefit from doing that? What country? Yeah, it's everywhere. New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand's putting weapons out there. Like, come on, people.
New Zealand's just like, yes, we're the only ones left.
They happen. Actually, they happen. They happen every 30 to 60 to 90 to 100 years. That you can look up the scientific graph of pandemics, and you can see all of them. They happen. And the next one could be worse. We need to be prepared. But anyway, yeah, you're correct.
Well, the next one could be sooner.
Yeah, I know. And this one could be forever. New scientific. Yeah, just this week I was reading that it might be here for ever, like a flu and a cold. It's
it could be
part of that thing.
It's awful because what it does to your lungs is long lasting.
And your brain. They're seeing weird things happen to skin, people having trauma to their brain, and traumatic things happen to their lungs that leave scar tissue. Like, we don't know yet. We're still learning. We're going to learn so much in the next 30 years about this virus.
Yeah, so like, keep your goddamn face mask on. Like, just
please. Mine has the Statue of Liberty on it.
Oh, hot dog. Mine has a bunch of superheroes. Would you believe it?
Oh, I'm so jealous. Well, Lady Liberty, she is a superhero.
So Captain America is super better, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but does he say, "Give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to be free"? Does he say anything like that, or does he just break up buildings and beat up bad guys? Because I think she wins.
He might do that part, but he also fights the government, and I like that
He
about him.
does.
He does.
Mac and I take this serious. Comic books are life.
True that. Okay, so more things going on. We've increased the military budget. We're fucking around with China because that's important when we have, again, 28 million people facing eviction, 32 million people behind on rent, and 30 million people who are food insecure. An unemployment rate of a lot, about as bad or worse than the Great Depression. Yay. There are 14 million, oh, I already said that, 14 million more people unemployed than there are jobs to fill. And restaurants, this is a fun one. I had to put this one in here. This is not just because of COVID, but this is just part of the state of our economy. Restaurants are being more employed by senior citizens now than teenagers. And there's recruiting being done at like senior centers and AARP and shit like that, which is nuts. But this is really important to mention, especially to anyone who likes to debate any kind of laissez-faire capitalists. When they say that these minimum wage fast food jobs are for teenagers, just people starting out in the workforce, it's bullshit. This is a really good example of that. You can look up, and I probably will soon, but I'm not going to do it now because I don't feel like it. Just what percentage of people who work at fast food restaurants and other minimum wage jobs are teenagers and seniors and middle-aged and in between? Like, we're going to see that, like, that's not how it works. And we don't give people raises by their age. That's not something this country does. And not that I necessarily think that they should do. But I don't even know what to say to that. It's every talking point that I hear from the right or any kind of capitalists, they fuck up the economy so bad that eventually their points are mute. They're just moot. They're awful. They're stupid. I'm sorry. I shouldn't use ad hominems on those arguments. They're what's the word I'm looking for? They're just no longer applicable. Right. Like when you say these minimum wage jobs are for teenagers, people just starting out in the economy, and then they're supposed to move up, right? Meritocracy. They're supposed to work harder, get further in life, get a better job, make more. But that's just not how it works. I mean, a lot of these easy jobs go to senior citizens who don't make enough off of their retirement and Social Security. We really don't have a society or an economy that helps people work 140-hour-a-week job and pay all your bills and put food on the table. We don't have that. And the COVID economy is making that exponentially worse.
Yes.
Exponentially. And here, I will look this one up because I remembered this today. Give me just a second.
It's over. Your second.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. If you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. Oh, goodness. While Mac's looking at that, I'll give you a quote, a beautiful one from Lewis. John Lewis, of course. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. And I say, yes. Solid, my brother. Exactly. So you find it? Because I have more.
Yeah, go ahead and just do a couple more here.
All right. He says, in my life, I have done all I can do to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. And I can get down with that. I just think together we can all, and honestly, I can't say keep our democracy anymore. I can say maybe get it back. We've lost it in a few places, if not in a lot of places. Voting rights, everything that's wrong. But if you guys want to get into the things that I fall asleep listening to, I like to listen to lectures from brilliant minds or audiobooks, speeches, conversations between two brilliant minds like Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky, or Noam Chomsky and Cornel West. I eat it up. I can't get enough. And there is actually a amazing panel that has Dr. Cornel West and Michael Brooks, who we just lost, and he held his own. He's just brilliant. I wish that we still had him. I really do. I wish that we had him. It's really sad. I know. I will be able to talk more about him if he wasn't just so much of a part. I took him for granted. I guess that's maybe why I can't talk about him. That's why it was so hard earlier. I just thought he would be there every week for me when I turn it on, and he is so young. So there's that. I'm glad that we did have him though, and that I was able to learn from him. And it looks like Mac was able to catch up a few things. Are you ready, Freddie? Are you Freddie?
Yeah, I think I am.
Oh, right.
I think I am. Okay, so this is what I want to look up because I remembered it today. And it made me really mad as soon as I remembered it. Okay, so as of, I think it was September 19th, you'll remember this pretty quick. September 17th of 2019, just last fall, the New York Fed will now be lavishing up to $120 billion a day in cheap overnight loans to Wall Street securities trading firms, a daily increase of 45 billion from its previously announced 75 billion in a day. In addition, it is increasing its 14-day term loans to Wall Street, a program which also came out of the blue in September, to 45 billion. Those term loans since September have been occurring twice a week, meaning another 90 billion a week will be offered, bringing the total weekly offering to an astounding $690 billion. I'm going to jump ahead here a little bit. Just so you know what didn't happen here, no Wall Street crisis has been announced to the public to explain these massive loans and treasury buybacks. Not one hearing has been held in Congress on the matter. Not one official elected by the American people has authorized these loans. The loans are not being made to commercial banks, in parentheses, which could reloan the money to stimulate the U.S. economy. Close parentheses. The loans are going to the New York Fed's primary dealers, which are stock and bond trading houses on Wall Street, who count hedge funds among their largest borrowers. Many of these primary dealers are often of foreign banks whose share prices have been in free fall. The Fed is making these loans at approximately 2% interest, an interest rate these firms could not come anywhere close to obtaining in the open market. Open free markets. Sorry, I'll shut up. The same foreign banks are counterparties to mega U.S. banks, derivative trades, raising the suggestion that this is another bailout of Wall Street derivatives mess has occurred in 2008. And I'm about halfway through that list. The two biggest for me is not one hearing has been held in Congress on the matter, and not one official elected by the American people has authorized these loans. That was $690 billion a week, and they did that for at least a month. And I talked about that last October. Do you remember how much we got from the CARES Act, Christy?
I believe it was $1,200 each.
$1,200 each person.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, there are 12 million people who qualified for that $1,200 who still have not gotten it.
Still not gotten it. Right. And I think they passed a bill that was $1.2 trillion for like the whole economy. That was back in what March, right? Was it back in March?
God, it feels like a year ago.
You do that 2 weeks. They did that for the banks.
Right.
In 2 weeks they did that. That was back in fucking March. How many times could we have done that to just stimulate the economy here? And it would have helped way more people than just fucking Wall Street. This is how our economy runs. This is why there are riots in the streets. It's not just George Floyd. Right wing's right. Yeah, they're trying to find other reasons. Yeah, because there are other fucking
There
reasons.
are so many. There are vast injustices.
When people become homeless, like they did in 2008, or like their friends did in 2008, excuse me, because that homeless crisis is still going on. We haven't fixed that one. It's going to get worse. Then people like your Second Amendment friends are going to cling a little tighter to those guns that they love so much, because things are going to get scary, because people are going to have to steal food to eat and anything else. They're going to burn down more local buildings because they're going to be furious and homeless, and it's going to be their local police officers who are pulling them out of their homes because of evictions, and because of them losing their job, because their state and local and federal government shut down the economy and told them not to go to work.
Yep.
There's nothing these people can do except be outraged and enraged. There's nothing. So we can move on to our next topic now, because this is a good segue. So, yeah, go ahead. So we have these protests now, mostly in Portland. There's some in Chicago. There's some in New York. The big democratic cities, right? The big democratic cities that have just been ruined for so long, and that's why these riots are breaking out. because they've gone too far left, and now the people are crazy, and we're just burning down everything. That's why there are secret police attacking rioters. Delete, delete. That's why there are secret police literally kidnapping peaceful protesters. And some protesters who have used spray paint and maybe done some damage to property after the fact of them damaging property, but these secret police do them in unidentifiable either gear, vehicles, or just not having a name on them, which is illegal no matter what. It is illegal in every case for any of these officers to be there without identification of some sort. Always illegal. Every single time. Doesn't matter if you hit them in the face and they're off duty and they arrest you and they don't give you information on them. Still illegal. They need to wait for an actual on duty or like an officer who has identification to take care of this. And when the federal agents are like in Portland protecting like the safe house, that's legal. They can do that. They can guard the perimeter. If you get unruly, they can do something. They can arrest you. Absolutely. They can do that. And they honestly should, because that is their job. And that's what they're tasked to do. They shouldn't go another block. They can't patrol the streets. That's not legal for them to do. That's past their jurisdiction. They have funding. They have permission, both, to guard the state. And the state property that the state asks them, invites them to do, and the federal property that the federal government asks them to protect. No more. They have no more jurisdiction. It is illegal in every case. So if you're wondering, can they do this? Well, they physically can, but like legally they really can't. That's why they let most people go. So that being said, it's frustrating.
I do want to add
yeah,
our Lord
please.
and Savior Nacha wanted to.
Yeah,
it depends on the state, doesn't it? From what I have seen on Legal Eagle, which I watch as well, there are some states that can be unidentified and some cases that do not need to be ID'd, such as Fed police and undercover police. I think it's Fed police, is what it says. Yes, there are, when you're doing gangs, when you're in that type, you don't want to be ID'd. You don't want them to be able to find your family and know where you live. So in that type of environment, yes, that makes total sense. And I actually agree with that. However, that's not what's happening.
Right. I stand corrected. I do. So, yes. There was a second point, and please don't see it as me moving the goalpost. It really should be considered legal in all of these cases. Absolutely should be. It should not be okay by any standard, because two reasons, two big reasons. One, being anyone can do that. Anyone can go to an Army surplus store, put some Army greens on, get a van, and take anyone. Yeah. When the police start doing it, then you don't know who's doing it if they're not an and if they don't have the identification. That's awful. That's
It's fascist.
terrifying. It is fascist. It's also fascist. It is.
It's terrifying.
Definitionally.
I never imagined that this would be happening. Never.
It's nuts.
Here.
2, why are we having these protests?
Exactly. They're just making them worse.
Because we need better oversight of the police. So when you are having protests largely based on police oversight, you can't throw secret police into the mix, and you can't have them beating up peaceful protesters in either case, identified or not. That beats the point. And it would logically follow for these riots and these protests to get more violent. Violence begets violence. It's a well-known phrase. And it just logically follows, because of course it does. It is so simple that it makes it stupid. Like you have to see it. Like I don't know if the mayors of these cities who allow Trump to send these special forces in even care, because it's hard to understand. It's hard to wrap your mind around that they don't get it. It's so clear.
That mayor getting sprayed right in his face wearing those goggles. I want to see more mayors out in the street with the people who pay your salary. Get out in the street. If a mayor needs to wear goggles and protective gear and go out with bodyguards and a mask and milk and everything, if that's what mayors have to do, because that's how dangerous it is, that's what mayors need to do. Or you don't need to be in that mayoral seat anymore, because the only way things are going to change is when everybody's in the streets and our leaders, our local leaders, are in the streets with us. And he originally, this mayor who was sprayed in the face, was I will find his name. I'll look it up. So I'm not just saying this mayor. I have a lot of it in content having in daily. He sided with the feds when they contacted him. He said, yes, I appreciate the extra help, let's hook our team. But he's so out of that, he's over here saying yes, but he's not here with the feds when they come in with the police, when they're telling them what they're going to be doing, and the police are great. The mayor's not there. So this had been going on, and then he went out to the progress on the ground and was sprayed. And so, he could understand. He felt like he needed to go see for himself. And as far as I know, I could be wrong, he could have changed his mind again, because he did agree at first, but he changed his mind and said, no, this is way too much. This is not what I agreed to, and this is not what I thought the extra help was going to be. I thought it was just going to be help. It's not. It's fascism.
Yeah.
On Main Street. I think everyone, if you are not terrified, and I'm not trying to fearmonger, if you do not see democracy slipping through our fingers like sand, then you're not paying attention. And it's going to take everyone, like it did every time any magnificent change has happened in this nation, has been because of a grassroots movement, and unfortunately losing people. That's why it's taken so long. I think we've been very comfortable and not wanted to lose anyone, don't want cracked heads. We don't want to fight our police. We don't want to have riots. We don't want to have to do this. They're too comfortable. But when things get so uncomfortable, and it hits Main Street, well, they're going to fight back. And I guess we'll, when history is all said and done, I really hope that we choose the right side of history. I do have hope and optimism. Actually, I have a lot with, I guess, with like the type of politics that Michael Brooks was about. That's actually what is out on the street right now. Of course, there's your crazies. Of course, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the masses of us. The 99% who would be like, I don't feel this is right. I need to go out and at least be a part of this. That's who is the average American. There's no way any person with a normal head and a heart could watch George Floyd's murder and be okay with it. And so, I mean, that lit the embers that have been burning. And there've been pockets of fire, but now it's on fire. We're literally on fire. I think and I hope that Trump isn't president anymore. That puts me in a weird place. Does that put you in a weird place? It puts me in a really weird place.
Which part?
Hoping and wanting Trump to not be president anymore. But the only way that could be is if is president.
Yeah. No, it is a weird place. Oh shit, yeah. Finally, you reminded me of something. I'm gonna do it in the next second. Are we about ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, now hold on. Before we do, last thing, I want to share this one. I thought I lost it. I thought they deleted it. I can't find it on CBS now. And it says it was deleted from at least my playlist, but I found it through Google and it plays now. I just linked a video down in the chat. This is Christopher David. If you guys remember that real tall dude, that was like
Navy.
Navy. He had Navy.
Like a tree. He's built like a tree.
Yeah, built like a
tree. Like an oak tree.
The SWAT came up to him, and he was there being a peaceful protester. Like, you need to watch the video if you haven't. One of the dudes took his baton and just went wham, broke his hand, hit him in the knee. Christopher David didn't move. And then, because he didn't go to attack him, he didn't fall. And since he didn't react, another one just ran up quick as possible, sprayed him right in the face with pepper spray. And then he finally turned around, flipped him off, and walked away. And that was it.
But while that's happening, Mac's forgetting there's like 3 other cops who are beating on him and spraying him at the same time. Like it was 1 cop, then 2, now 5, and
he didn't move.
No,
he didn't do it.
He's part of the vets, which I will be covering next week.
He is part of the vets. He's
part of the vets that have journeyed to Portland en masse. They're connecting online and going to the front lines. Like, you're going to run over the moms, you're going to run over the dads, run over some vets.
He was making a call for a wall of vets to cover the wall of fathers and the wall of mothers.
Who are protecting their young kids who are protesting in the street for a non-violent world.
Yes. And so, and that's what he's going. He went there to ask them if they even realize that they're what's the word I'm looking for? Well, they're not following the oath.
Foreign or domestic.
Foreign or domestic. And as he was trying to yell that to them, he's like, they probably didn't hear me. They just saw me and started beating on me. And since I didn't respond as they wanted me to, they pepper sprayed me in the face.
Right. I'm sorry. Can we call it what it is? That's a chemical weapon. I think that it's controversial to call it that. So let's call it that. Let's call it that and make people feel uncomfortable because it should be uncomfortable. Our police should not be able to do that. Yeah, it can permanently damage people.
Yeah.
It's a
And we're
chemical
not allowed to
weapon.
use it. And we're not
No,
allowed to use it in
no.
warfare. We're
We're
letting
not.
them
The
legally do
United
it.
Nations the United Nations, the criminal court has found us, you know, that that's we've broke the law
Yeah.
internationally by using chemical weapons on our own people. Think about this headline: Honduras uses Honduras cabal, or whatever, uses chemical weapons on their own people. Well, we would need to go in there and do a regime change. We can't let them, do that. We have to go down there and protect them. Yeah. So
Question
yes,
and
yes,
answer.
Mac. I'm calling you
Question
like a
and
teacher.
answer. Which country is going to come in and do a regime change on us?
No, we have the scariest military ever to have ever have
Yeah,
happened.
it's us.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
Yeah. Moms,
All right.
dads, and vets are actually going to do it, and the children that are in the streets
I hope so.
that see that it is
The best we
broken,
can hope
and
for.
they are so much more humanistic. They are so much more pro education than we were, and they actually know the founding documents because they just learned about them a couple of years ago and took tests. It's fresh in their mind, and they're saying reality and the documents don't match. So, and they never have. It's been a goal to get to, is the way I see it. And to say that you love this country means that you have to participate in it. And that's what's been lacking. And I think that that's not going to go back to normal for a long time. I think a lot of people are paying attention. And they're paying attention and looking past the bullcrap. Don't get me wrong. I stay away from Twitter because there's people who I don't know what they're drinking. No, I don't get it. However, for the most part, sharing information and keeping people informed is what got a wall of moms, is what got a wall of dads. It's what got a wall of vets who are still going to Portland in vans together. It's still happening. They're heading there. I just hope that with the vets for DAPL is what, Obama was like, okay, I can't be the president that shot pepper spray at our vets. Like, that's, shut it down. And I don't see Trump doesn't have empathy. I think he is a genuine sociopath. I do think that he doesn't feel what other people could feel. It's just about him and his. And so trying to convince him is never going to happen, people, which also brings us back to that horrible spot that we're in.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of horrible spots that we're in, let's move on to Sleepy Joe.
Sorry, it makes me giggle.
All right. So, in my own notes here, I have this title as Sleepy Joe Biden and the DNC, as in the Sleepy DNC. Because there's some shit. Some shit. First off, congratulations to Graspy Joe. Thanks, Rage. Joe Biden is leading in the polls. It looks like he is stomping the fuck out of Trump right now by snoozing.
Yeah.
Literally just by taking a nap.
If he stays in his basement, he might be the next president.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't, like, we've said this. Kyle Kalinske started saying this in January of 2019.
Oh, God, that's right.
If he doesn't talk and he just lets his reputation ride, he'd do well. Like, they need to know from, like, elections, the more Joe Biden talks, the more people are like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. And we've seen that. We've seen that in this election. Every time he talked about corn pop,
Oh
or
God, it's so
black
bad.
kids need to listen to the radio before they go to bed at night so they can hear words.
The record player.
The record player. I'm Joe Biden, and I'm running for the United States Senate.
That one made me choke. Yes.
And
with that is
let's
better
not
than what we
forget-
have, we're at a very bad spot.
Yeah. And let's not forget, though, look, white kids,
Oh God.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Poor kids.
poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that one. Okay.
I think
That
he
all being
already
said,
forgot
I
that
didn't get to watch that video. Landon Weeb said Nina Turner said voting for Biden is akin to eating a
Half a
bowl
bullshit. Okay.
half full of shit.
Hold
And
on.
I
Side
didn't
note.
get to watch that video yet, but I wanted to include that. I'm glad someone else.
Yes, but that's not exactly how she said it. A lot of people will read that line and think, like, I don't want to read anymore. It doesn't help anything. But that's not exactly what she said. What she said was, it's like this election. It's like someone handing you a bowl of shit and saying you could eat all of it or just half. So it's a little bit different, but yeah. Yeah.
But yes.
How
Yeah. So
about Nina Turner for president?
yeah. Yeah. Well,
She's
she's not even allowed in the room.
Oh, she's
Remember, Nina Turner was a Bernie
regular
Sanders, like,
person.
co-chair.
She'll never get they'll burn this whole place down before they let someone as brilliant and as radical as she is in their mind.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think she's a hero. So she's a badass. I love me.
Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody.
So, along with just basic sleeping, like he's doing well in the polls because they're keeping him away. Who was it they just had speak for him?
Yes, I know.
Not Mitt Romney. Starts with the G, doesn't it? Who am I trying to think of, Christy? Do you remember his name? Who they just had? I think he was a Republican.
Right. I know. Yeah, I watched it as well. I
can see his face, and I can't remember. They're having like Republicans speak for him, so he can do better in the polls.
Republicans have come on, even Fox News and said these are never Trumpers now. That they're so happy that the Democrats are running a conservative Democrat because they have no problem running or voting for him. Yep.
Red flag.
Yep.
Red flag.
Yep. And Biden, his words to a room full of very rich people who were at a fundraiser, the like 2,000 a plate. I really don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. What it was a plate. They were paying for it, and I'm sure it was expensive. I'm sure we can find that number out if we actually looked. I don't really give a shit. But he told this room of investors, if you vote for me, under me, nothing will fundamentally change.
And he's right. This is I had to stop. All right. So I don't remember the name.
He does that when I scratch his butt. Oh.
So Joe Biden wrote the 1994 crime bill.
1968 is what I see on the side. But yeah, it is that. Maybe that's the something else and I'm just not privy.
Okay. It's all right. So
yeah, it is the 1994.
There's a story. Look up Good News, Jimmy Dore, of Joe Biden's America, because nothing will fundamentally change. And it's sick. It really is sick to see the America that he helped shape, which is this America. This is almost more Joe Biden's America now than it is Trump's America. I'm saying almost, and I kind of regret saying almost. He really shaped a lot of this country, or
was a
what
part
he
of.
agreed upon shaped a lot of this country.
Right. Yeah, he was a big part of that, of switching the Democrats from the party of workers. He was part of the switch to the party of corporate. And that's all Biden and his crew.
Yeah. He's been ready to shut down Medicare and Social Security back in the 80s. He tried it a time, he tried it a second time, he did it a third time, he did it a fourth time.
Yes.
It meant every single solidary thing in the government.
And I hope people, when they hear us say that like nothing will change, I'm not talking about the outside things. Those outside things like protesters in the street probably would change a little bit, because he would help immediate funding. He would help with stimulus.
Oh no, Christy. Nacha, am I still here? Is it me or her? Okay, I'm still here. All right, and we're still live, right? Okay, so, shoot, before I forget, we got the pharmaceuticals and the, I forgot the thing. I was gonna write something down. Okay, sorry, everyone. Christy is frozen on my screen, but you guys still get to look at my pretty face, so hooray, right? So, I didn't want to go into this without Christy here, but I will say July 27th, a couple days ago, the Democratic, the DNC, they banned from the Democratic platform Medicare for all. Like they barred it. Cannot be really spoken about. So that's great, because only 60% of Republicans want Medicare for all, and about 90% of Democrats, overwhelming majority of people, want Medicare for all. What kind of political party has a supermajority of their party not follow what the people want? That doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's just one thing. They voted for the CARES Act. Our Democratic leaders did, including Bernie Sanders. Which, yes, it had a couple of decent things in there, but it was the largest giveaway of wealth to the higher class, wealthy individuals, not just in the history of our country, but it was the largest upward transfer of wealth in human history. And I agree with, again, I have to reference Jimmy Dore, there's nothing that Bernie Sanders or anyone, including Bernie Sanders, could do to make up for that awful of a vote. It's absolutely horrendously disgusting. The transfer of wealth up that we did with the CARES Act, and how many people we've left just floating at the bottom. It's disgusting. And not only did they pass this, they put a time frame, which ends now. It's 12:02, August 1st. Time's up for the $600 extra for unemployment, and I think the eviction holdbacks on the eviction. Sorry, my vocabulary. it's getting late and I'm losing all my words. And yeah, we can definitely blame most of this on the Republicans, but the Democrats let it through. They let it through. And now, the Democrats are trying to hold out to get us a better deal, and get that $1,200 a month. Again, another one-time payment, not each month, which would actually be closer to helpful. And they did way more for Wall Street back in September and October of last year. But now they're holding out a little bit because Trump wants a payroll tax cut, which will be cool, like extra grapes with this side of almost nothing. And we're just getting so little. We're getting so little, and the Democrats are fighting for so little that it looks like they're hardly fighting it at all. And again, it's disgusting. So one of the things that made me extra pissed off, and I didn't want to talk about tonight, but knew I had to, is Trump passed 3 and brought up 4 executive orders over the weekend. Oh, good. Christy, you're back.
I am.
Welcome back.
Long time.
I'm just getting to the juicy bits I was hoping you were here for. Did you watch the whole little 45-minute clip of Trump that I sent you over the weekend?
Yes.
Yes. So this is what that's about. Trump signed 3 executive orders and introduced 4 to lower the price of insulin and another drug that's very
for the AIDS drug, I believe.
AIDS.
I'm pretty sure.
That was one thing. He also
don't quote me on that. I would look it up, but I believe that's what it's for.
Yeah. Also to make drug companies not charge Americans the most.
Right.
When our tax money funds the research for all of these drugs, for these
and all the studies and all the human studies and all the peer review that there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, we pay for all of it.
Yeah, you're paying for basically every medication more than twice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to explain, and I'm not going to take the time to explain how bad the big pharma whatever companies are, because we already know. The thing is, Trump is fixing it. Trump is out-lefting Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders at this point by actually taking action and making it legal for people to go across the Canadian line to go get insulin or any other drug that they can get cheaper and then bring it home. He's making insulin and the AIDS drug, I don't remember what it's called, cheaper for, he said, pennies a day. And also he's using Medicare. He pointed out that Medicare is the largest pharmaceutical drug purchaser in the world, and we can use that to our advantage.
Right, to negotiate like other countries.
To negotiate.
Yeah.
Like no duh.
Well, think about that AIDS drug. It's $8, I believe, in Australia. It's $11 in UK. It's $30 was the highest I found it anywhere except for here. It's over 1,000.
Over 1,000
per pill. And then some of them are like $1,500 a month for your supply for the month here. And if you don't have it, you will die, kind of thing. However, you can get it for $5 in any other modern democracy. So, but that's because they have healthcare and they can say, as a nation, you won't have this, 5 million people as buyers. You want to lose out on 5 million potential buyers, because with capitalism, it's about more money. It's about, so when that's what we make it about, this is what we get. And that's why other countries have said, or we will still be capitalist. That's fine. Markets have always been in every country. Even the ones who were in our history told us to be socialists, or they're markets always. However, we said we will not allow that level of cruelty in our capitalism. No, if someone needs it or they'll die, it needs to be affordable for everyone, including people who work, 2 jobs and never see their kids. It needs to be affordable. So I agree, as a humanist, as a mom, as a participant in this democracy, as a citizen of this country, that yes, we have 300 and something million people that would be on one program. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of power that we would have to hold, to negotiate for prices, because that's what every single other country does. So I think that Trump, does get a gold star for the day for that one.
Yeah,
he does.
He did the First Step Act, and he's doing these. Legislation for these issues have been on the table for a long time.
Yes,
right? The American people have known about this problem for a long time and have voted. It's like Medicare for all. A lot of fucking people want it, and we don't get it. So he signs these executive orders within a week of just fucking sinking in the polls. You know why? You know why? Let me answer. Because he fucking wants to win. If you're wondering if Trump's trying, he is trying. That's what that day showed me. And it makes me furious because the Democratic Party could have put this in their platform. Yeah. It would have been so fucking easy to put this in their platform, even just to promise it and not do it. Medicare for all, too. He just out-lefted them. And they can't repeal that. That was a good thing he did. And I mean, they might repeal that because
bad. Orange man
Joe
bad.
Biden can't.
He is fascist. He is all those horrible things. But like we started at the beginning of the show, he can be more than two. He can be more than 5 things. He can be more than 20 things.
Yeah.
So not black and white.
It's not. It's great. All right. So, what this made me say through for the next 2 days after this was watch him keep sinking or just steadily float and then sign an executive order implementing Medicare for all.
That would be amazing. Oh God. He would get reelected.
I'd vote for him. I mean, fine,
for Medicaid for all?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
For Medicare for all. You know what? I'll fucking do it. I was going to vote third party.
Yeah, anyone who would be for those policies that I care about, I would vote for. I don't care what.
Yeah, you'd have to.
But they also can't be a
bullshit. I don't want that. Yeah, he's still a fascist. But you know what? Joe Biden ain't far from a fascist if he's not.
Yeah, many of his.
Which fascist do you want to vote for? The one who's going to listen to the people? Because at this point, if he would sign something for Medicare for all, this is hypothetical still, right? Don't come at me too much, bro.
I'm like, bro. No, I couldn't.
This is, if he would, that shows us he's finally going to listen, because he doesn't need to get reelected after this. He needs to be loved after this. What he wants is to be fucking worshipped.
Hold on, I have to go throw up.
So, I mean, Joe Biden isn't going to listen to the people for the next 4 years because he wants reelected, or at least the Democratic Party wants the vice president
easy to control. He'll listen to the party and toe the party line.
Right.
That's why he's so amazing when he has structured programs that he presents where he's reading from the teleprompter. Sounds like a president, a leader. because that's written by someone else.
Like,
Hey, what Trump sounds much more presidential when he's actually reading and he does not go off script. He sounds like a semi-sane person with empathy a little bit. You know,
yeah,
when he goes off the cuff, he sounds like an insane person without any empathy or understanding.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And it's just, it makes me incredibly pissed off that this wasn't done years ago. And this wasn't because Bernie wanted this. This is Bernie legislation that he just executive ordered. And I trust him right now more to sign a Medicare for all bill. Joe Biden would veto it. I think Trump, for the love that he would get reelected again, stab Pence in the heart for the cheers before Joe Biden would pass Medicare for all.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately.
I'm not voting for Trump if he doesn't do the Medicare for all thing. Just like I'm not voting for Biden if he doesn't go for Medicare for all, because it's just such a low hanging fruit to just pick and run with. It's so easy for him to do. Like,
It's this
both of
terrible
them are
spot
still going to
that
be
many of
forced.
us are in, especially in swing states.
Yeah.
I will never vote shame somebody, like, ever. However,
No,
I
do
feel
what?
like vote shame, like, make someone feel bad because they made a decision. I have not walked in their shoes or understood. Maybe they didn't think about it. They don't pay attention. They're not informed, and they were just like, red team good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I am in a swing.
That would be like, well, unfortunately,
I'm one of
that's
those
really
guys.
sad. That's really sad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they did think about it, and maybe his bigotry aligns with their bigotry, and that's why they liked him. So if they have reasons they would want someone to stay, I would never vote shame anyone. I would, however, information like is at everyone's fingertips.
Right there.
Everyone has a phone. You have a way to go online, even if you don't have any data or you can't pay for your phone right now. You can take that same phone and sit at a McDonald's parking lot and go online and learn about anything. You can I just so and I'm not shaming anyone who doesn't. It took me many years. I'm 43 now before I decided, hey, let me go find out what do I even believe in, because I left this religion, moved through crazy stuff like that thing I sent you, and you're embarrassed when you do. um, of the thing, that I had posted 7 years ago. People, we get
I
those
went to see
memories
it.
on Facebook. Well, Facebook memories sent me, you posted this 7 years ago, and I was like, okay, I could delete it or I could share it with some people and be like, hey, look how, I don't want to say how dumb I am, because many people were just like me. I don't think that I'm dumb. He's back.
Are you back, Nacha?
He might be. He sounds like there's this really funny Saturday
Hey,
night.
we are.
Okay.
It looks like we're here. We're back.
Yeah.
Look, it's us, guys. Hi.
It's us.
Okay.
We did the thing.
So, do you want to finish your thought, Christy?
Nah.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody moved on to the next. They understand what I was saying.
Yeah. All right. So then we are going to get ready to wrap up, but I have one more important thing that I need to share down here. So click this link that I just posted in the live chat, and hopefully we can get it in the doodly doo down below. This is a link for a GoFundMe for Godless Cranium. He's been a guest on our show. He's a big part of our community. He does wonderful, fantastic work. Not only in his like YouTube community, but also just in his everyday day community. He's a social worker. He works with the blind. He's really just a wonderful humanist. And he's getting evicted. And he doesn't, he's got like 60 days to find a new place to live. And he doesn't want to just be stuck renting for the rest of his life. He really wants to try to just get a down payment on a house. So he set a goal for $15,000. If anyone can just chip in, any little bit helps. $1, $5, $10, $20, $100, whatever you can do, please let him know that we sent you, and please help him out. Share the link. Just tweet it out. If you don't have $1 to spare, just tweet it. Facebook, share it.
If you're
Mike
not
is a really
subscribed
wonderful
to him,
person.
my goodness! And if you're not subscribed to him, that's crazy.
Oh yes, please subscribe.
He's got like all this new political, and I think I even left a message underneath one of them, like, whatever you've been doing, like, this is amazing. I can't wait for the next one. I watched it and it was so good. I was like, it's over. Like, when that happens, I have to let the creator, like, you did it. That makes, like, informs people and gets them passionate. You just did it. So he is that. And
he's always well
researched. Share out his content as well, and inform yourself with it. You'll laugh and you'll learn every time.
Every time. I mean, almost every time. Like, one of my favorite videos I've ever seen of his is the one on, like, what North America did to the Native Americans. Yeah, that one won't make you laugh, but it will make you think for like the next 2 weeks. And it is literally the best researched and well put together.
I agree.
On that topic on YouTube that I can think of, and I've watched a lot. It really is the best one. Like Discovery Channel, anything on there, like, it just doesn't. It honestly doesn't come close. He has the best. And that's just one. That's just one.
The Discovery Channel and those channels would never tell you those things because advertisers would flee. That's why we don't know the truth. So, gotta take money out of that.
All right. Well, again, thank you all for joining us another Friday. This Friday reverse 13th. I hope you guys enjoyed it, got something from it. We will see you again next week. Sorry for the week off last week. We just all needed a break for multiple reasons, and
I took a political break, which I hadn't taken. I don't know, just not for long, but I just, not for the next however am I going to learn about anything that has to do with news, which is hard because
it was hard.
It is hard. It really is. But I think that I needed it. I had my dreams kind of changed. They were different. They weren't worse or better. They're different, and I think that I'm going to implement that at least once a month. That what's going on is detrimental to my heart. So to take that break is good. I think all of us should. Solidarity. I love you guys. I'm glad we could do this every Friday night. I really am. I look forward to it. I look forward to what I learned so that I can bring it to you guys. I'm really sorry to hear about a friend getting evicted, and I don't know. We're all in this together, and it's going to be a long time till we're normal again. So ask a doctor, ask a scientist. It's going to be about another year to 2 years before anything's normal again. If there is a normal, many things will probably be the new normal. And so we'll go through all those changes together, and then we'll talk about them. Try to keep our minds healthy through all this injustice. And like I said, I love you guys. Sorry about the tears. I'm such a little crybaby. I am, but whatever. It just is the way that it is. I can't help it.
You're okay.
And stay humanist, for God's sake, because we're all we have.